Okay guys, so as promised, this is the lecture video for Chapter 8. Just wanted to remind you that you need to review Chapter 5 also. Our new text does not have a chapter dedicated to shepherds and Keysight. And so you need to review Chapter 5 where we discuss those so that when we begin the practice exercises using shepherds and Keysight, you will have a better understanding of those. So, computer-assisted legal research. This is what you guys have been wanting to do since day one in legal research and writing. And we've done a little bit with free websites, mostly governmental websites. Legal research, obviously, in today's age can be done not just through the conventional print materials, but also through online paid databases such as Lexis and Westlaw. But that being said, it requires that you become very competent using these online methods. Otherwise, you'll end up spending more time than you would in the traditional print materials. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on now. I believe I shared this with the class last semester, or the last when you were in Research and Writing 1. Most of you were in that in the spring semester. But Model Rule 1.1 of the ABA Model Rules of Professional Conduct specifically recognizes the need for technological competence through a significant change in 2012 that formally notified all lawyers, and especially those in jurisdictions that follow the model rules, that competency now includes current knowledge of the impact of e-discovery and technology in litigation. So we are going to spend a couple of weeks in Lexis and Westlaw, not nearly enough to become an expert. I'm not sure that we will even get to proficient, but we will definitely get started and hopefully learn to at least navigate around in Lexis and Westlaw. You've already gotten your usernames and passwords, and you should have those ready to go when you come to class next week so that we can get started on these practice exercises that are very much like the ones that you will do for homework. So once again, I think I shared this with you last semester, but you need to pause the video, this video, and go and watch video clip 1, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Okay, now that you've watched that video, that is what I don't want you to be. Obviously, it's satire, and of course, you guys know I love SNL, but your goal is to ultimately become proficient in this technology and remain proficient by getting current training in Lexis and Westlaw. I've also provided you guys with some links to some training that you can do through both Lexis and Westlaw, free training. They both will give you a certificate at the end that you could then put on your resume, and I will be glad to give anybody extra credit who completes that training. So, Model 1.1 states that a lawyer shall provide competent representation to a client. Competent representation requires the legal knowledge, skill, thoroughness, and preparation reasonably necessary for the representation. Through amendments to Comment 8 of the rule, the ABA explained what it means to provide competent representation, means to maintain the requisite knowledge and skill a lawyer should keep abreast of changes in the law and its practice, including the benefits and risks associated with relevant technology, engage in continuing study and education, and comply with all continuing legal education requirements to which the lawyer is subject. Now, all of that says the lawyer. However, many times the lawyer is going to be dependent upon you to provide those skills to his or her law office. So it becomes important that you are competent with regard to those as well. Now, technology is not a part of the Georgia professional rules with regard to competency, but I anticipate that it will be added probably in the very near future. So the two major paid computer-assisted research services are Lexis and Westlaw. They are now called, Lexis is called Lexis Advance, and Westlaw is back to just straight Westlaw. When you read your text, there'll be some discussion in there about how the names have changed. But they are now Lexis Advance and Westlaw, and I would anticipate sometime soon Lexis Advance will just go back to being just Lexis. So why the name changes? Well, in the last few years, Lexis and Westlaw both have advanced their product so much that at one time they had two products. They had Westlaw Next and Westlaw Classic. And there was Lexis and then Lexis Advance, which is the new product. The previous versions were a lot less intuitive, I would say. Lexis and Westlaw both have learned from Google and have tried to be as in tune to you or to the user as Google is. And so you'll hear me say a lot that they are much more now Google-esque. I just made up that word, but meaning that you don't have to have as much precision in your searches as you used to. However, if you do develop that precision, your searches will become much more efficient and thus more economical. In class or during this course and in the program, you have access to Lexis and Westlaw, and it's pretty much wide open. When you get in Westlaw, you'll get to a few places that say that area is not supported by your subscription, but it's not things that you actually need. So it's pretty much open. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, log out when you have finished your work. Certainly you should, but it's not like it's going to be when you're actually in a firm working, when you will have to be very cognizant of signing in and out of Lexis and and my screen just changed, and going in and out as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because it costs money, and also making sure that you have chosen the correct client to assign a particular search to. So when just in the last couple of years, as Lexis and Westlaw have moved toward this more Google-esque product, they have moved somewhat away from Boolean searching, although Boolean is what will help you to be a better legal researcher. Okay. Boolean searching is the method of conducting research using symbols and characters rather than plain English or Google-esque language. It allows you to use words, symbols, numbers, connectors, which we call terms and connectors, to get over the hump of the literalness of a computer. Computers are extremely literal. There's a link there that you can go and read about search engine histories, but this is very much the way when we first started using the internet. We didn't have a product like Google. The first search engine that was similar would, I think, have been Ask Jeeves, where you could use natural language or plain English in your searches. But when we first started, we had to use a type of Boolean. We would tell the computer, go get this, but don't look for this, or find this word within 5 words of another word or in the same paragraph. You had to be much more particular. Okay, so I want you to now go and watch video clip number 2. It's about Boolean operators. It's about Boolean searching in general, not necessarily on Lexis and Westlaw, but it'll help you understand the process. So now that you've watched that, hopefully you have a little bit more idea about what Boolean searching is. That's kind of down the road right now, but it is how you can become much more efficient. So you'll learn that there are times when it is more efficient to use Boolean, and sometimes plain English or natural language is exactly what you should use. So if you're searching really broad concepts, you are not as computer savvy as you'd like to be, you're unfamiliar with Boolean, those are times when you want to use that plain English. You want to utilize that natural language search. But as you become more proficient with Boolean, you're going to see that if you know the particular keywords or terms, if you're looking for particular documents or looking for things under a particular key number or topic name, using Boolean will make it go much more quickly. So here are the terms and connectors. You got a couple of slides here that outline the terms and connectors for Lexis and for Westlaw, and they tell you what they do and give you examples. Now, you don't have to memorize these. They are available in Lexis and Westlaw, so no need to memorize them, but as you start using them more, you will remember them. So an exclamation point is the same in Lexis and Westlaw. It will go and find words that have variant endings. Okay, so what does that mean? So if you wanted to find everything that has to do with banking and lending, so lending is the word you want to use. That's your keyword. But, you could find things with lend, lends, lending, lenders, anything that is L-E-N-D and then other letters. So you can put an exclamation point on that, and Lexis and Westlaw will both go then and search for any word where the first 4 letters are lend and then anything afterwards. If you wanted to replace a letter, in Lexis you use a question mark, in Westlaw an asterisk. So if you wanted to search for men or man, you wanted to search for both of them, no need to put both of them into your search. Put in that replacement character, and it will go search for both. And in Lexis and an ampersand in Westlaw is where you can link a couple of terms together, or locates documents with either or both words. In Lexis, it's actually just a space between two words makes or you can use or, but a / and an N means that you are looking for one particular word within a certain number of words of another word. So for example, if you were looking for patent infringement, and you're looking for any time that patent and infringement are within 10 words of each other, you'd put patent / 10 infringement. So here you can go in and look at this particular table, and the second table has the same types, just different ones. If you're looking within the same paragraph or the same sentence, or you want to get bank but not robbery. So there's lots there that you can use, and once you become equipped to use these efficiently, your research will go much more quickly and thus save the client money. Okay, so we are going to first do a little bit more basic practical exercises in Lexis and Westlaw, and then we'll come back to terms and connectors and Boolean searching. Okay, so I've already talked about the fact that it used to be in Lexis and Westlaw both that you would have to choose your content area to go and search. That's no longer the case. It has, as I said, that more Google intuition, and so you can still go search by content area or what we call databases. You can also, if you have a particular citation, you can type that in and retrieve the document directly. But now you have the ability to use that plain English natural language search, well, Google type search, and then once you get what we call returns or hits, then you can go in and narrow down what you find by using filters. And we will talk about those when we start working on those practice exercises. So these are just real quick steps for getting into Lexis. I think once you've established your password or established your username and your password, you can very easily do this. You don't necessarily need to go by these steps. At this point, you should pause and go look at video clip number 3, which is the Lexis Advance overview. And then you'll watch video clip number 4, which is Lexis Advanced Natural Language Searching. And then you will, and something happened to my video, and to the client's actual bill. And so, depending on what software they have, or they may do it by hand, but they will, usually the practice manager will pull a report at the end of the month to see, how much time you've spent in Lexis or Westlaw per client, so that they can then bill for that time. So you have to put in those client IDs. So I'm going to pause at this point. You need to pause, and you're going to have 3 more videos. One Video clip for 6 is the Westlaw intro. Clip 7 is for Westlaw terms and connectors, and then clip 8 is for key numbers. So Lexis and Westlaw are not the only people in the game. There are others. Bloomberg Law is a real up-and-comer. Fastcase and CaseMaker are also getting to be popular. They are usually linked to a state bar website. Georgia actually has Fastcase on theirs. Lots of other states have CaseMaker, but if you are licensed in that particular state, you can go to the state bar and actually use that. Sorry, pulled out my headphones. You can go to the state bar website and access Fastcase, and a lot of attorneys in Georgia don't even know that. It's free, and you can do legal research for free. The only issue is it does not have a Shepherd-like tool. It's got something similar, but it is not. It does not provide the quality that Shepherds and Keysight have, so you still have to get that from somewhere else. Versus Law, Jury Search, Rabble Law, or other paid databases. Pacer is a paid government search where you can go and search for federal court documents, just like you can access in Lexis and Westlaw. But it's a much more economical, but it doesn't have the breadth of research databases as Lexis and Westlaw. So when do you use conventional print resources? I told you guys they're still important, and they are. If you just want to get your feet wet in a particular area of law and get some background, you probably want to go to a traditional print resource because you don't want to waste your Lexis and Westlaw time or money doing that type of research. If you need something very thorough and comprehensive, you probably want to go to a treatise, and that's better to access through print resources. If you have trouble formulating research queries, which in the beginning you were or will, so that's why I wanted you to be able to use print materials. Sometimes it's just more cost effective. As I've said before, attorneys will tend to have a set of code, at least, in their office, and it's just easier to go pull that than it is to log into Lexis or Westlaw, and it saves money. So that's when you would use conventional print resources. Another thing, as I told you guys in the first class, the way that Lexis and Westlaw are structured and the way that you drill down to get information is very much, it is based on the way that the print materials are organized. So if you understand the print materials, then it makes Lexis and Westlaw much easier. If you search for something and you get back that it's in US, it has the volume number and U period, S period, and then a page number. Well, if you don't know what U period S means, S period, then it's not real helpful to you. You have to kind of be able to recognize those things, that's the United States Reporter, and that's where Supreme Court cases are going to be. One of the three places where Supreme Court cases are going to be, one of the three reporters. So it becomes very important to understand how the print materials are organized. When do you use computer-assisted research? If you already know the citation, you can easily pull it that way. You're looking for cases that you know who the attorney is, or the judge, or the party's name. It's much easier to search in Lexis or Westlaw for that. If it's a new evolving area of law, something about technology, or that's going to be easier to find in Lexis or Westlaw because it's going to be newer. It's not going to have made it to a book yet. That's, if you want the most current, Lexis and Westlaw is where you need to go. And if you are trying to validate your primary authorities, your shepherdizing and your key citing, you gotta go to these computer-assisted databases. Okay. What are the limitations of using, and I don't think I've said that a lot of people will call it CALR, computer-assisted legal research. Computers are extremely literal. They are going to give you whatever you ask for. So if you are not diligent in what you put in for your search, then what you get out is going to be trash. It's extremely literal. It's expensive. Okay? And there are just limitations to what you can do. So the last part, I just wanted to kind of throw out to you. It's not in your chapter, but sometimes there are things that are so old that they may not even be in Lexis or Westlaw yet, and you have to go and pull a type of microform. If you're doing newspaper research, you're going and wanting to look at old newspapers, you're going to get some form of microform. What is that? That is going to be your microfiche or ultrafiche. Some of you may be so young you may not know what that is, but it's this little piece of film. It looks like a picture negative, and you put it in a machine and move it around in that machine, and it has the action. It's almost like it's a old school PDF in that it shows you the actual picture of the newspaper, and you can read it there. Might never have to do that, but just in case you do. So here's some tips for using CALR. Create your search before you actually sign in so that you aren't wasting money while you formulate a search. You don't have to memorize those terms and connectors. They're there in Lexis and Westlaw. Don't read long cases or law review articles on the screen. You can download them, save them, bookmark them, however you want, print them, however you best read, but don't spend your time just staring at that screen. It's not a good use of time, and it also uses up money. If you can get in, print out a case, and sign out, then you're not being charged while you're sitting there reading the case. Use as small of a database as possible. So I told you that in the beginning with Lexis and Westlaw, you had to choose your content area, your database first before you put your search in. And you don't have to do that anymore with the Google-esque type searching. However, if you do that, it will give you a lot more efficient return, narrow down those searches. A lot of this won't make sense till we're actually looking at it together, but we will do that on Tuesday. There are also ways to utilize Lexis and Westlaw in the documents that you draft, and in the documents that come to you from opposing counsel. It can go in and check, and this is a little bit more advanced than what we're going to be doing, but it can actually go in and cite check all of their authorities in their briefs. You can also use a clipping service. If you're always looking for, maybe you work in a particular area of law, you can set a reminder to let you know whenever anything comes up dealing with that particular subject, and they'll send you an alert. It's like a Google alert. And that's a way to really impress your clients. If you call them up and say, oh, hey, no, this isn't in Georgia, but the Kansas Supreme Court issued this opinion yesterday, and it's dealing with what you do and what your client does, and that will impress them. Okay, and so citing. Okay, Blue Book and ALWD both say that it's better to cite to the traditional print resource, even if you looked at something online. So Blue Book then says, if a printed resource is available for that, you must cite to it. You cannot cite to a internet source. Okay. ALWD says only if that print source is readily available to most readers. So they give you a little bit more leniency. So we will pick up on Tuesday, and I will send out that survey about whether or not you'll be in class. But we will pick up on Tuesday, and we will go straight into doing practical assignments. So I've got some practical assignments that we will do together, and then I will turn you loose to do your homework. So have a great holiday weekend, and I will see everyone on Tuesday.